So coming to next part. So our next important part will be requirement gathering. Okay, so we did software setup, environment setup, everything is done. Now, first thing we will do requirement gathering, and then we will API development lifecycle. So in API development lifecycle, we'll start from RAML, then we'll go for development, and we'll follow all the steps of API development lifecycle. So first, let's focus on the requirement gathering part. Okay, so whenever we talk about requirement gathering in not it's related to only to not it's related only for Mulesoft, it's for all technology. Okay. Whenever we talk about the requirement gathering, we used to create functional design document and technical design document. So how it looks like, let me show you. I have created one functional design document. So here you will get a high level detail of the project first, and then there are some instruction about the document, like version name should start from 1.0. There will be minor version change, major version change, so how versioning will work. Then program project and line of business property value of the document, they are updated by going to file property and all. Okay, do not leave section blank. So there are some instruction to maintain this document. Okay, and in this particular document we are going to give you an overview and functional and application specification. So these two are major component of this document. Next, you can see here change history, document history. Okay, so who started working on this document, then who reviewed the document. So you can see here started from 1.0. Every time version is getting updated. So okay, who is the author for that particular thing, and what is the comment, date, and version. Everything we maintain here. Okay, and this will be keep adding. New row will keep adding whenever there will be any change in this document. Then who is the document owner? Okay, and here we have reviewer. Who is the reviewer of this particular document? Generally, like a reviewer will be business, then stakeholders, then project manager, solution architect. So this kind of people will be document reviewers. So their name will be there. Okay. Content of this document, like what all things are there, business overview, business benefit, and all. So we'll see one by one. So in business overview, generally we give high level business detail, what this project is going to do. Okay. And benefit section, you will mention once this project will be live, what kind of benefit customer, user, or anywhere will anyone will get. Okay, those things you should mention here. Okay. Then functional diagram. Okay, this will be key part of your functional design document, functional diagram. How functionally, like what all things, what all functionality you are going to implement in this particular project. Okay, this is just a random example of some from some other project, but it will look like in this way only. So this is about the high level document of the payment process, where like customer will do login in their like any web application or a mobile application. Then they will like select the items they want to purchase. They will fill their delivery delivery details, and then at the end it will start the payment process. So once payment process will start, so it will go with some like steps, like it will complete the payment and all. Okay, so there are just random example, like few functionality are there. What all functionality will be involved here? Based on that functionality, this diagram is created. Okay, so in same way, based on your functionality, based on your requirement, there will be like there will be functional diagram, and then API landscape diagram. In API landscape diagram, there will be 3 layers: experience layer, process layer, and system layer. So system layer connect with the external systems. Okay. Then process layer, where we will do all the orchestration and we will apply all the business logic. And experience layer, in this layer, like we will expose our API to external world, like front-end application, mobile application, concierge app, those kind of things will be there. And now, as a developer point of view, this will be section 3 will be very much important for you as a developer point of view. Why I'm saying as a developer point of view, since in this application overview, you will get detail of the API. Based on that, you will start your development. Okay. So here we have taken example for the one very simple API where customer will make a registration. Okay. So there will be few detail which will be inserted into database. Okay. Or you can say in customer Salesforce CRM system. Okay. So here you can see we are talking about we are talking about experience API. In experience API, service name, we want to maintain like customer experience API app V1. Okay. And what this experience API will do, this will do registration. Okay. So you can see here, we have given detail of that API, like version will be V1. Resource URI, what will be resource name? Resource name will be /registrations. So whenever you define resource name and all, you should follow API governance. As per API governance, whatever resource name you will give, that should be noun and that should be plural. Okay. Then method. Okay. So for that particular operation, what operation? We are going to create customer in Salesforce CRM. So what kind of method it will be? Whenever you are creating new resource, it should be post method. So that's why method is post. Okay. And objective, what this API will do. So this API will register customer on this particular app. Okay. Now, this is the resource detail. Okay. Whenever you define any API, there are 4 major components of defining any API. Okay. First thing is resource detail. And then second important thing is request. So whenever you want to declare or define any API, so important, like after resource, second important thing will be request. And if you are creating any API, you can pass request in 4 places. Can anyone tell me? Anyone know? Like just put in chat what all places you can pass the request data in any REST API. For everyone who all know, just put what all places we can pass the request data. Put all the places name, not one. All answer are correct, but no one is giving proper. Yeah, no, I can see. Body URI parameter, yes. So I can see Ujjwal and Pooja has given very correct answer. So whenever you are defining any REST API, you can pass request in multiple way: query parameter, URI parameter, header, and body. But as per API governance, there are some standards or there are some rule. Okay. Based on that, we need to pass data on different places. So what is that rule that we will discuss? So first thing, if you want to pass any processing data, which is your actual data which you are going to process, so those kind of data we do pass inside the body. Body will contain processing data. Then we have header. Header generally contains metadata. Okay. Let's say your data, what data you are passing in body, that is of application JSON. So accept will be application JSON. So this will be header. So header doesn't contain the actual data. Header contains the it support the data. So that's why generally it contains the metadata. Then we have query parameter. Have query parameter. So query parameter contains the filter condition. Okay. Let's say your API needs some filter condition. I want to retrieve customer detail where customer age is between 40 to 60. Okay. So this age range 40 start age and end
Uh,
age.
Sorry, Ravi,
This is
I can't,
I cannot
I,
see.
sorry, I can't be able to see your screen, Ravi. Can you
yeah,
please
yeah.
share?
Yeah, I'm not sharing. At this moment, this is team page only.
Okay.
I'm just explaining the concept. So hope my screen is visual, correct?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you.
So query parameter is filter condition. So whenever we want to pass any filter condition, we should pass inside the query parameter. And whenever we want to pass any unique identifier, let's say I want to retrieve customer information where customer ID is this. Okay. So customer ID, what is customer ID here? Unique identifier. For each customer, there will be one unique value. Okay. So those kind of thing will come inside URI parameter. Okay. So based on the input type, we should pass in particular format. If it is processing data, it will go inside body. If it is metadata, then it will go inside header. If it is filter condition, then it will go inside query parameter. If it is unique identifier, then it will go inside URI parameter. Okay.
Ravi, for headers, can you give some samples like what kind of metadata we can pass generally in an
Yeah.
API?
Here you will get. Yeah, we are going to discuss. So for this API, we have this kind of metadata like transaction ID. Okay. So transaction ID is not part of our processing data, but this transaction ID will help us to monitor our log and all. Okay.
Mhm.
Which front end, like whoever will call our API, they will pass the unique ID, that is transaction ID, and we will use that transaction ID throughout the application to like display our log and sorry, to display our log and some other places. So this transaction ID is not part of processing data, but this is supporting data. So that's why this is metadata, and this will be header. Then client ID and client secret. So again, client ID and client secret is just to authenticate our API that it's a request is coming from valid source. Request is coming from valid client. So this is not part of processing data, but this data is helping us to verify our API. So again, this will be part of header. Similar way, authorization, accept language. These three will be another three headers. For this API, we don't have any filter condition since we are going to register one customer. Okay. So if we are going to register some customer, we don't need any query parameter. Generally, query parameter will be in retrieve API where you are retrieving some information. Okay. And then we have body.
One for one question, can you explain the first header regarding login? First header.
This is transaction ID, and as per discussion,
Yeah,
like
yes, sir.
what
Transaction ID.
if yeah, if anyone has any doubt, put in chat. Okay. So since we have too many people, okay, if
Yeah.
I will take all the query from chat, but yeah, if you will ask in between, then like we will not able to complete on time. I will help you to answer your query. I will take every 30 minutes or 1 hour. I will take all the query. Okay. So for everyone, if you are getting any doubt, put in chat, and some other team members are there. They will help you in chat directly. So this transaction ID we are going to use to monitor our logs. Okay, so whenever someone will make our request to our API, they will pass the unique ID that like for every request, they will pass different transaction ID. So this transaction ID we will capture in our log and it will help us to monitor that particular transaction. Let's say someone initiated request, that request might fail, might be successful. So how we will monitor or track that? So either we can use this transaction ID, what we are getting in request, or we can use our own correlation ID. Whenever Mule application will be called, it will create one correlation ID, which will be unique for each call. Okay. So either you can use that one, or here, like assumption is whoever will call this API, they will pass one unique ID that will be transaction ID, and that transaction ID will be used. Okay. Next, query parameter we don't have. Then we have body. So here in body, you can see we have first thing customer registration request that will be like parent element. And inside that, so parent element, you can see indentation is 1. Indentation 1 means that is parent. And indentation 2 means these are the child of this parent. Okay. So what are the child? Name, address, mobile, email. So these are the 4 childs of, and this is the data type, like all are we are going to take as a string. Then mandatory. Okay, mandatory y, and y means that field is required true and it must be there. So that's why it's a mandatory y. Okay. And here you will get one sample payload for this particular request. Okay. Like name, then address, mobile, email, like that. Then this is the sample response, like detailed description of the response payload. So in response payload, we will have this parent element and we will have 2 data there. One is message and another one is transaction ID. So this message is nothing but this is like a success or failed message, like registration is successful or something like that, or success, failure, like that. And then transaction ID is the same transaction ID for which we received the request. So we will capture that transaction ID in response. Okay. So this kind of like response structure will be there. Okay. And there are some non-functional requirement. Okay. In non-functional requirement, like what is the processing time? This is REST API. It's a real time, or what kind of API is there? So this is real time REST API. Then frequency. If it is scheduler API, there will be frequency either weekly, hourly. If it is event driven, then also there will be frequency. But this is our REST API, so no frequency will be required here. Okay. Then initial method, like this will be push method or pull method, like that. There will be initial method. Push and pull, like if it is queue kind of thing, like where message, like not only queue, event driven API also. So either we will pull the data from there, okay, or we can push the data there. So what kind of API? It's a pull API, push API, that kind of detail you can give. So second and third point is mostly valid for scheduler API, event-driven API. Okay, those kind of APIs there. But first point is based on the REST API, and then other point like data size. So what will be request data size? It's 1 KB, 2 KB, or 10 KB data, or some places it will be 100 MB data also. So we have to mention the data size, request data size. Daily volume. Okay. Daily volume means how many transactions or how many times that API will be called on daily basis. So here you can see 20 TPS. TPS is like very commonly used terminology in API, REST API. Whenever you will develop REST API, their number of transaction will be measured based on the TPS only. Okay, 20 TPS means 20 transaction per second. Okay. So this API will be called 20 times in every second. So this will be TPS. And hours of operation. So hours of operation, like how many times this API will be called in a day. So it's a 24 hours since REST API is there. So customer can call this kind of API anytime in 24 hours. So it's this API should be up and running for 24 hours. Okay, then SLA. SLA means like service level agreement, what we have. So whenever you are developing any API, there should be some SLA, or you can say uh, response time. Okay, yeah. So this is response time for this API 5 seconds. So this API must be response within 5 seconds. If this API is taking more than 5 seconds, then like this we have to define. Okay, this 5 seconds is not fixed. So this developer need to define, architect need to decide what should be response time for that API. And if after defining all those things, if your API is taking more than that particular time, then your API is breaching the SLA. Okay. So SLA will be 5 seconds is fine here. So similar to this experience API, we have detail for the process API. It's very similar. Only thing, this authorization header is not applicable in. Why I removed authorization header from the process API? Since OAuth policy we will apply only on experience layer. Okay. Generally, we don't apply OAuth policy in internal API. Okay. We apply OAuth policy only in external API. Okay. And whoever, like whatever client is making request, so they need to call the OAuth service provider first using their client ID and client secret, and they will get the token and they will pass that token to experience API. So once experience API will be validated based on the OAuth token, experience API call the internal API process and system API. So at that time, we don't need this authorization token. So that's why in header part, I removed the authorization, but other policy rate like client ID enforcement will be there in experience API, process and system, all three layer. But authorization to like OAuth policy will be only on experience API. Then for this API, request payload structure will be same. Okay. There is no change and it's not mandatory every time. Request structure in experience API and process layer will be different. Sometime it will be same, sometime it will be different. Okay. But here, when I go for system API, so there is slight change in the payload structure. Okay. Header also, we don't need authorization. So let me remove this. But in body part, you can see we have one unique ID, registration ID. Additional ID we have in our request payload. But in case of experience and process API, we don't had this, since this registration ID will be generated in process layer. Okay. And when from process layer to system layer, when we will make this call, at that time we will pass this additional registration ID. As I mentioned, in process layer, we do all the orchestration and business logic. So whenever customer will register, they will get one unique ID. Okay. So that ID will be generated on which layer? So it should be generated on process layer. Since in process layer, we do all the orchestration and business logic. Okay. So that's why this ID got added only in system layer request. Since it's got generated in process layer, And when we are calling system layer from the process layer, then we are passing this ID. Okay. Okay. So these are the fields we have where we will in our request payload. Okay. Now I will show you by following this document how we will create RAML and how we will start the development. Okay. So before that, now I will take all the query what we have. So these are the questions looks like from what design tool will use to convert epics into storage. So there is no such design tool. So like design tool wise, generally we don't have any design tool to convert this. We use Jira ticketing tool where we do create everything. We create epic story and everything. Hope you are clear with your query. And then how the transaction ID will be generated. So whenever like any system, like whoever will call our API, that will be mostly front-end system. So they will generate one unique ID, which will be transaction ID, and they will pass us. Okay. But if you want to use or your own unique ID to manage the transaction, okay. So by default, whenever new request will come, Mulesoft will generate the correlation ID, and you can use that correlation ID. Okay. So anything should be fine. So Rajesh, are you clear with this query? To call API, client will send transaction ID in header. When we testing our API from Postman, we will send some random. Yes, correct. How we secure process system API if we don't have policy? No, we have client ID enforcement. Okay, and those will be internal API. So we will not expose this API to external words. So that's why we don't need too much security, but still there should be some security. So we are going to use client ID enforcement or basic authentication in system and process layer. So how transaction ID will be generated? So generally the transaction ID, it's part of our header, which will be which is in experience layer also. So this transaction ID, front-end system will generate based on their logic and all. If you want to generate instead of correlation ID, you want to generate your own unique ID, correlation ID, then you can use UUID function. Okay. But correlation ID will automatically generate similar kind of ID. So you can use that one. So what is difference between system and system API and process API. So system API we use to connect with external systems like database, Salesforce, JMS. Okay. And process layer, we used to configure, we used to apply all the business logic. We do all the orchestration. Okay, that part will be handled by, will be done in process layer. So generally process layer, we do apply business logic. We do all the orchestration in it. Means system layer to connect with external system, process layer to apply business logic and for orchestration, and experience layer to expose our API to external world. Next, Pooja, can we skip any layer? Yes, we can skip. So for this 3-layer architecture, this is just a design pattern. Okay, so let's assume you are building your home. Okay, and you don't want to put window in your home. So that is good pattern to put window in your home. So your house will be open and it will be, you will get wind and all. But it's not mandatory. You must need to put the window. Same way, in this API-led architecture, they have given best pattern where split your API into 3-layer to make things more reusable. Then it will be loosely coupled. So that kind of advantage we will have. But it's not mandatory. We must need to follow that. If you follow, that is well and good. Definitely you will get advantage. If you don't want, you can skip. In real time, what will be the application size that will be working on? It depends. Okay, there will be very simple API, also very complex API. There is no rule for that. Okay, many API will be very straightforward. Many API will be very complex. How do we call from process to system layer? So that part we are going to see. How to identify processing type. What do you mean by processing time here, Tinku? I'm not sure. How do we call from process API to system API? Yes, so already someone answered. So we will use HTTP requester and we'll see soon. How many layers we have to create for the given particular scenario? So we will create 3 layers. We will create all 3 layers. I will show you. Could you please explain system? So Sai, I already explained 2 times, but still not, then you can follow. Many videos are there on my YouTube. So can we get the recording? See, like this thing we already discussed and I don't want to discuss again. We will use client ID enforcement. Discuss, do we have payload size limitation in Mule? Okay, payload size limitation for REST API. I don't think we have any such limitation. That depends on your application heap size, like how much heap size or how much like what is your worker type. Okay, in worker type there will be heap size, memory size, and vcore size. That will that will decide or define how much big payload, how big payload you can pass to your API. Okay, so those things will be decided by worker, not by your application. Rafat, so we are going to discuss all these things. Okay. Naga, like all these things are valid question, but not at this moment. You can ask at the end of this session. So this session is more focused on I hope everyone clear with the objective. I'm going to show you one start to end process, everything requirement get what is environment setup, then requirement gathering, RAML development, MUnit, CI/CD pipeline, everything I will show you for one project. But if I will start taking everything, this will not able to complete. So few things I am skipping at this moment. This kind of question I will not able to discuss at this moment. So Pooja, there are multiple factors based on that you need to decide. But generally, if we skip process layer. System layer should be there since system layer is one of the most reusable layer. Okay, so we should never skip the system layer. And if you want to skip, you want to make two layer, then make it system layer plus process plus experience. Like process and experience will be one layer and system will be one layer. Okay, fine. So here source is front-end application and target is Salesforce system. For this project, everyone mute, please.
Yeah, got your point. And we have one more high value that this is pending from long time. This is around 15K.
Okay. So, so source will be like front-end application, mobile or web application for this particular POC project. And as I mentioned, this is a small project, so logic-wise, there will not be much logic, but process-wise, you will see everything. So here, front-end will be our source system and target is Salesforce CRM system. So hope till this point, everything is good. Let's take a 5-minute break here and then we'll start again. Let me know if my screen is visible. Can anyone confirm?
Visible then.
So next, what we will do now, we will start the development. Okay. So we are done with the requirement gathering part. Now we will go for development. So first thing, we will create the YAML file and we'll follow all the best practice and everything. So to create YAML, we'll go to Design Center. So in YAML, okay, if you see this API, this 3-layer, so many things are here repeated. Okay, let's say this transaction ID, client secret, we have in all 3 layers. Okay, not only on this all 3 layers, we will have many places. So whenever we have any reusable things, okay, so what we do create this reusable things inside fragment. Okay, so instead of creating YAML first thing we will create fragment. Okay, so here you can see here we have new fragment option. In fact, fragment. You must need to give type of your fragment. So we will use type of library and create fragment. So as I mentioned, in fragment, we do create all the reusable components. So first reusable component we are going to create, that is header part. Okay, in header, we have transaction ID, client secret, accept, authorize, and accept language. So all these things are there. So all these things are header. So whenever we want to create any reusable header, we need to create. Can anyone tell me what we need to create? If I want to create reusable headers, so where we can create the reusable headers? Anyone?
Traits, by using traits.
Yes, correct. So we will create inside traits. So whenever we are designing our fragment, okay, so it's better to have some proper folder structure. So for traits, I will create new folder. We'll give name as a traits and we'll define all the traits here. Similar to traits, we'll create new folder that is for data type. And similar to that, we will create one more folder for examples. So for creating all this data type example and traits, I will tell you process, but still like to save a little bit time, I have already this thing created, so I can do copy paste from there. That will be a bit faster. I will explain everything, but let me do copy paste. So here we have traits. So I already created, but I will show you how to create all this and other we will do copy paste. So first thing here in this document, we need to create transaction ID. Okay, this transaction ID is header. And you can see there in all the three layers, we have this transaction ID, client ID, and client secret that is common. Okay, so if you have any header, group of header, which is common everywhere, then what you can do, you can create a common trait. Instead of creating three traits for this three header, we can create common. Okay, so what I will do, I will create one traits, okay, that similar to this common header trait, and we'll put all the common things there. So how to create? Go to trait folder, click on plus, new file, YAML 1.0, file type will be trait, and name you can give here. One headers trait.yaml. Okay, and inside this we will define our header. So how we can define? Just give me 1 minute. So what we will do, inside the traits. So first thing we will select headers. Okay, then header name. Header name we have this. Okay, now we'll check. This header is type string, mandatory Y, and this is the min length and max length. So we need to define everything for this header. So first thing, required was true. Whenever we have any field mandatory, then it will be required true. Okay, type. What was the type for this? Type was string. Then there was min length and max length 36, 36. So min length 36, max length 36. Okay, so we define one header. Similar way, in this common header, we are going to define all these three: transaction ID, client ID, and client secret. Have client ID and then client secret. Okay, so same way we need to define. So I have already this, so I can type this here. Let me know if anyone has any doubt. So header is there, transaction ID required to min length, max length, data type is string. Example is this, same way client ID and client secret. So three header we created inside the common header, and the name of this header we have given as a common header trait. So
Hello.
yes, tell me.
If we keep required is true, it is mandatory, right?
Yes, required to means it's mandatory.
Yeah, one doubt regarding traits. What are traits generally used for?
Okay, inside traits you can create request, like all kind of request: header, query parameter, URI parameter, then body, response. Is it clear?
Yeah. Okay. Can we keep data type?
No, data type we need to put outside.
Yeah. Is it possible to keep in threads? Like, is there any possibility or
No, no,
they will
you
not
can
allow?
you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have created this common header trait. Now next. We have this authorization one. Another trait we will create inside this new file, RAML 1.0 type trait, and we'll give name as a authorization trait.raml. Create. Okay. So syntax wise, again, we need to type header and then all the detail that I have already. So to save time a bit, I am doing copy paste. Okay. We created authorization trait. We created common trait. What other things we have? Common one is done. Authorization is done. Now this accept and accept language. Again, whenever it will come together only. So we can create a common trait for these two header. I have given data type. So file. Data type common header state.raml. Okay, so this is also done. So here we have created all the headers. Now check for next. After that, we don't have any query parameter and we have this request body. Okay, so for request body, we will create a trait or we will create the data type. Can anyone tell me where we can define the structure of the request body? Inside the
data types.
sorry.
By using
Yes.
data types, we can define.
Yes, correct. So here we need to define data type. Okay. So in data type, what we will do? We will define only child element. Okay. Name, address, mobile, and email. How to create data type and how to define everything. So here you can see we have data type folder we created. Okay. So better to create folder structure in proper way and put everything there in systematic way. New file. So this will be data type, RAML 1.0 data type, and data type name we will give. This is for registration request. So JSON registration request data type dot ramon. Okay. So here we need to define everything. So what all things we need to define inside this? It will have 4 child element: name, address, mobile, and email. Okay. So whenever you want to define child element, so in JSON, it's mandatory to put everything inside the JSON object. Okay. So JSON object is mandatory to wrap any JSON elements. So here we have 4 elements. It should be wrapped within one JSON object. So first thing we need to define one JSON object. So we will define type. Type object. So whenever we define JSON object, okay, it should have attribute. So attribute is nothing but it's an element of JSON object. Okay, so we need to define attributes. Actually, attribute we define based using property, not attribute. So type object, we will have properties. So what all properties we have? Name, so this name is of, you can see here, it's mandatory true, data type string. So type we will define later. First required type string. Then example we can take. So this object will have 4 elements. So first I will do copy paste. And after that we have address. Next we have mobile. And then last we have so we define all the data type for name, address, mobile, and email. Example we don't need to define since for every element we have defined example. So whenever we will use this data type, automatically example will be generated. So no need to define it again. So that part you will see soon. Wait for some time. Let me see anything else we need to define.
Ravi, it's better to mention minimum and maximum length of each property. I think so.
Mean and max length, you mean to say?
Because yes,
So why it's meant like name?
because
We don't know. Some
name,
people will.
yes, some people will make their name as 2 letters. So it's not, I mean, like, it's not a proper name, right? AB also can, the app will accept AB
That
also as a
that
name,
that
but it's,
that kind of yeah, that kind of restriction you can add based on your company requirement. Yeah, at this moment, this is just for learning purpose, so I'm not going to take that kind of validation and all. But yeah, if your company needs such kind of restriction, you can add mean length, max length, and you can add pattern also. Many things are there. So request part is done. Now we have response part. Okay. In response also, we will define these two, message and transaction ID. So in data type,
Ravi, mostly for the data, I mean, what are the input request and the output request we will give in the data types, right? For in
yes,
creating them, mostly.
yes. Success response data type. Okay. You can create. And in this response data type, what all things we have? We have message and transaction ID. So first thing, type object, properties, message, required true, type string, okay, and then example. Okay, so this data type is also ready. So we have created success response data type, registration request data type. Then we have traits. Okay. And one more traits I want to define for error response. Okay. So that I will create later on. That might be a bit complex for you people. So let me try to explain here first. Can understand, then we'll take. So similar to success response, we will have error response also. And for error response, I created this format. Okay. In error response, first element will be message. Then we will have code and then event ID. And after that, there will be error object, which will contain type, title, and details. Okay. Let me show you one sample example. this kind of thing. So whenever there will be error, it can be 400 request, 400 means bad request, 401 unauthorized, 500 service 404 service not available. Sorry, 404 is resource not found. Then 500 critical error. So if that kind of error will come, so we will send this kind of error message. It will contain message code event ID and then error, which is again JSON object, which contain type, title, and detail. So by following that, we have created this data type. So what I will do, let me create this also in the error data type. Okay. Error response data type. So this data type we have defined, but as I mentioned, how we can define the request? We can define like what all things we can define inside the traits. We can define header, we can define query parameter, we can define URI parameter, we can define request body, and we can define response also. Okay, so traits is capable to define all the request format and response also. So response part, error response only we will define inside the trait. So data type we have defined here. Now I will show you how to create error response inside the trait. Okay, click on this. Name we will give error response trait. Okay. So first let me explain this from here. See here. So whenever we define response in our YAML file, first we need to use keyword as a response. Okay. And then we need to give the response like there are, whenever we define any HTTP REST API, then there are different HTTP code for each response. 200. Can anyone tell me like what is meaning of 200 and 201?
200 okay.
Success and created.
Yes, correct. So 200 for success and 201 for created, resource created. Okay, so like that we have many HTTP status code. Okay, and here we have 400, 401, all are error response code. Okay, and this trait we are creating only for error one. Okay, success response we will create within the YAML file. Inside the common fragment, we are only creating the error response. Okay, since error response will be common for all the API and resources. So instead of creating everywhere, I am creating inside the fragment and will use everywhere. But response part, many things will be keep changing based on the resource and YAML. So that we will create within the YAML directly. So let me copy this. Okay, one problem will come here. Example we haven't created there. So this all the example will give us error, but other things should not. Name part error response data type. Otherwise, I'm not sure name and everything is correct there or not. It might create problems, so better let me create here again from scratch only. So I want to define error response. So whenever you want to define response, so first thing we need to take response. Then what response we want to define? we want to define 400. Okay. So in 400 response, what all things we will define here? Body, body of type application JSON, and then type. So type we will take from here, error response data type. Copy this. Okay, so I just added 2 dot in front of this. Since when we will take this fragment inside the YAML, this folder structure will change a bit. Okay, that's why better to put 2 dot here. Okay, and example also we can define, but example part I don't think it's mandatory. Why I'm saying it's not mandatory? When I define this, okay, yeah, it's mandatory. Let me quickly check. Response data type. We haven't given example here. Okay, only we have given required and type. And the reason behind this, why I haven't given example here, since for each error, if you go to this document, for 400, code will be 400, type will be bad request. If I go to 401, code will be 401, type will be unauthorized. So this is keep changing for each response code. So that's why instead of, like, we cannot define common example. So we have to define different example. Okay. File. For example, you can take this as a other, and here you can give 400. Error response 400 example.json. Copy from here. Okay. Similar to 400, we will have 401, 404, okay. So this we define here. Now back to our trait. Let's complete this one. So type is there, and then example. We'll take this 400 example. Hope my screen is visible. Like this window is very small, but
Yes, it's available.
okay. Response 400. This. So same way, like you can see here. We define for 400. Okay, we need to do for 401, 404, and 500. Okay, pattern will be same only. So what I can do to speed up this process, copy this, paste it, change this to 400 to 401. Here also 400 to 401. Since name and every pattern I use same, so 404. Five hundred. Okay. So this is also done. So we are good with all the data type. We are good with all the example. We are good with all the traits. Okay. Now we need to work on this library. Okay. So library part we need to work. So before that, let's take 15-minute break. We'll connect in 15 minutes. So everyone, just you can do whatever task you have. And then we'll complete this RAML part. Okay. So next 1 hour, we will keep working on RAML part. We will complete for all 3 layers. And after 1 hour, we will start the development. System API development we'll do today. Fine then. So we can start now. Hope my screen is visible. So let me do small recap what we did so far, and then we'll go for next item. So here, like we have created traits. Inside traits, we have created authorization trait. Okay. And this authorization traits is nothing but to represent this header. Authorization header. Type string required true type string. An example is this. Similar to that, we have common header, which contains three headers. Okay, in this trait, we define three header: transaction ID, client ID, and client secret. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry, I got one call. So here in this header, common headers, we created transaction ID, client ID, and client secret. So same way, we have data type header, which contain accept and accept language. Okay. Okay. And then we created one another. We created another like trait which contain error response. 400, 401, 404, 500, like that, we created common error response. Okay. So these are the traits, and then data type to define to like describe the like request and response data type. Okay. Generally, we define the schema. Okay. So this is for error response, like it contain message, code, event ID, and error. Error is again of object, type object. So it contains type, title, and detail. For registration request, it has 4 elements: name, address, mobile, and email. For success response, we have message and transaction ID. As I mentioned, whatever data type we define in JSON, it must contain, it must be within JSON object. So you can see everywhere type object is mandatory. Starting should be type object. So we define all the data type, we define all the traits, everything we defined. Now, if you want to use all this data type and trait within your RAML file, okay, fragment is common file, okay, which can be used by multiple RAML, which is shared across the RAMLs. So if you want to use all this thing, if you will not put within the library, then what will happen? Everything you need to initialize and you need to use there. That will be more hectic. So what we can do, we can put everything within the library, this common fragment. So this common fragment contains the library. So we'll initialize everything here, and then we'll use wherever we want. Okay. So how to do that? So within usage, okay. Usage is not required here. So to we have already defined the data type. Now to declare this data type, what we need to do, we need to use keyword types. Okay. And what all data type we want to declare? We want to error response. Okay. First error response. 1 minute. So which data type we want? Error response data type. So go here, copy path. So when you will put this, just remove this one. Backward slash. Okay. Before that, you need to add include keyword also. Include, and then
Include spelling.
Include spelling if.
okay. So in when you are defining library, see label of library. This is on parent folder, and this is their child folder. Okay. If you will put slash, then slash will start counting from one parent level. Okay. So that's why I remove this slash. Since inside the common fragment, data type is on same level. Okay. So no need to put anything forward slash or backward slash anything, or no need to put dot dot also. Okay. So I remove this. If you will not remove this, here it will work. But when you will include it within your YAML, it will start giving you error. So for error response data type, I like declare here. Again, we have registration request. And next we have success response. Type, error response, registration request, success response. These three data type we have declared it here. After that, we need to declare these traits also. Okay. Definition we have given here, we are declaring within the library, and we will use within the YAML. So what all traits we have? Authorization. So for declaring all this trait, you need to use keyword traits. This is authorization one. Then we have common header. And we have common data type. Yeah. So we define the data type. We declare the data type. We declare the traits. So we are good with everything in fragment. Let me know anyone has any doubt on fragment part, what all we did. Okay, we are going a little bit fast, I agree, but you will go through recording and you can ask whatever doubts you have. Okay, I see few doubts here. Let me take. Okay. So traits is your usable component where you can define reusable components like header, query parameter, URI parameter, request and response body. So Krishna, hope you are clear. Can we have required documents here? Yeah, I will share in group. Okay, so you can get from there. And Git also, I haven't given Git access, so maybe tomorrow morning I will give. So you will get all the document and everything there. I already put in Git, so you will get from there. Traits versus fragment. So both are reusable component. Fragment will be parent, okay, where you can define all the traits, data type, library, resource type, everything. But traits is part of, it can be part of fragment also, or can be RAML also. If you are defining reusable components within trait, which is defined within RAML, then it will be used within the RAML for multiple resources. But if you define traits within the fragment, then that traits can be used by multiple RAML. Someone already answered this. Thanks. Why we want to declare only child element in the request? Okay, so that you will come to know. Yeah, I will explain that part. Once you will see practically, then you will understand. So wait for some time. Why are we creating both header and response in trait? Shouldn't it be library? Okay, so library is collection of all these traits and data type and everything. Okay, to make things very systematic, we do create this library. Okay, but traits we use to define all the reusable header, query parameter and all. Data type we use to define like request and response structure. Okay. And you mentioned like header and response. So response and header both you can define inside the thread. So that's why we created. And library, just how library work in real life. It's a place where you put the things in very systematic way. So that is same thing we are doing in library with library. We are arranging things in very systematic way. So maximum people can use that things. It's already helped for many questions. So thanks, Lokesh. Yeah, fine. So far till fragment we are good. Now next we will publish this on Exchange. So click on publish. Asset version 1.0.0. Click on publish to Exchange. So it's already published. So we can use this one. So close this. And then now we will create system API YAML. Okay. Go to Design Center again. Click on create new API specification. And this is for system API YAML. So we'll start YAML from system API. So name we will give used customer SAPI app viewer. Customer SAPI YAML. YAML version we will take 1.0. Click on create. The first thing we want to include that fragment within our YAML. So here you can see dependency tag. Dependency tag. Go to fragment. Click on plus. Here common fragment. Select this common fragment and click on add one dependency. Now click on these files. So first thing, what we will do, we will include that library in our YAML file. Okay. So how we can include that? So first you need to use usage keyword. Common library. Okay. And okay. So suggestion is already coming here. Exchange module. This common fragment 1.0. Then common fragment YAML. So whatever we have defined inside the library, now everything is loaded within our YAML file. So next what we will do now, next go to this document part. So here resource name is registration. So we will give same name. So first we will define slash registrations resource. And what method it will support? Post method. So method we will use as a post. You can give some description also before going to method. So description. This API will description maybe we can give after. So this is the resource name, this is the method, okay, and then resource and method is done, description is also done. Now we need to start defining the request. Okay, first request will be header. Okay, so we need to define transaction ID, client secret, accept and accept language. Now we will get advantage of what we did in common fragment. So we have already defined all those header. So simply we will use it. Okay, how to use all those header from this library? We need to use each keyword. Okay, so what all things we want from the common library? What we define? Common library. We need authorization header. We don't need authorization header in SAPI. So we will not take. We need common header which contain transaction ID and all. Okay. Once you will add, you will able to see here. See here. Transaction ID we have, client ID we have, client secret. So at this moment we took only one, so only we can see all those three. Next. Common library. What other we need? Transaction ID, client secret was part of common, so we took common. Now accept and accept language is part of common data type. This is also done. So header part we are done. We don't have any query parameter. We have body. Okay. So we need to define request body. Body. Application JSON. Request body of type application JSON. And type. Okay. So in request body, if you remember, we defined from we only define name, address, mobile, and email. Okay. So first thing we need to define this. Okay. This is of type object. Type will be this. Okay, sorry, not this. Type will be object. Type will be object. Then properties. Okay. Inside property, type. This time we will use this type from common library. Registration request. Okay. Now if you will see here, it's coming type, name, address, mobile, email. All these are coming expected only, but why this is coming as a okay. Okay. Inside customer registration request, we are getting name, address, mobile, and email. But in case of system API, we need one more data. Okay. So if we need one more, then how we will add that one? It's coming as a registration ID, and then all these are coming as a type. Mhm. Okay, so it will be difficult to merge these two. So what I will do for other API, for process and experience API, this will be optional. Okay, so what we can do, let me update the common fragment. So we'll add this also, registration ID also in the common fragment, but we'll make it optional since experience and process API don't need this. System API only need this. Or we need to update the structure a bit. That also we can do. So here we need registration ID also, but experience and process API don't need this. So we'll make it required false. If you do any change, then you need to publish it again. And now we'll go to YAML file again, and we need to take the latest version of fragment. So here, go to this, select this three dot, change version, and take latest one, update. Okay. So here once you will update this, you need to update it here also. This will be 1.0.1. All the latest change will come here. Now we don't need all this, so registration request of type this. Okay, customer registration request, registration ID this, name this. So this is the request structure. Request part is done. Now we need to define response. Response we will select. So first we will define. So what will be response here? 200 or 201? Can anyone confirm?
200.
200.
We have to use the bracket.
201.
201 is great.
Should be 201. Why it should be 201? Since we are going to create new resource here. Okay, so if we want to create new resource, then it should be 201. Okay, 201. Sure. Response format will be like this. Should be like this. JSON. Type object. Type common library. Response. Okay. So once you will call this, you will get this kind of customer registration. Customer registration request. One customer registration request, and this is customer registration response.
Ravi, can't we directly define this type instead of creating a separate property?
But we haven't given this prefix there, no? Like this parent root tag name we haven't given in our data type. We can do, but then that will be generic to this. Sorry, that particular data type will be specific for this particular like resource response. But if you want to make it generic, so there will be many other API where success response structure will be same. But if you will attach with this, then it will be specific to only for customer registration response. Okay, so what I did, I make it common. Okay, now if it is customer registration success response, then I will add this tag. If it is payment registration successful response, then I will change this.
Mhm.
Are you getting this?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this part is also done. Now we need to define error response. Okay, error response we have already defined inside the fragment. Okay, so simply we will include that here inside the each keyword. Common error response. Okay. So we are good with this rammer. Let me know if anyone has any doubt. Let me do recap what all we did. So first thing, inside this dependencies, we added the common fragment, what we have created, plus symbol and then option is there to add. Then go to file. Okay. And here inside this raml file, first we added the common library, what we have created inside common fragment. Then we have given resource name, then method name, and this is description about this method, what this method will do for this resource. Then we use each keyword where we imported all the things from the common reusable things like what all headers we need for our API. Common header which contain three part, transaction ID, client secret, data type header which contain accept and accept language, and then common error response which will like describe the common error response. Okay, which we have created, like we have defined all the error response 400, 401 and all. Then we define the request body. So this is the definition of request body, which are which is of application JSON type, and type is object, which contain parent element as payment, sorry, parent element as a customer registration request, and type we have defined inside the common fragment we took from there. And this is for error, sorry, success response 200 body application JSON, and then type will be this. Okay, so in this way we created or completed system API raml. Process API and experience API raml will be very similar. Okay, it will not be always like process and system API and experience API raml will be same, but there might be few scenario where you will develop very straightforward simple API. There it might be same also. Okay, there is no hard and fast rule like it must be same or it must not be. So it depends on business requirement. Sometime it will be same, sometime it will be different. So based on that, you need to do required change. And as I mentioned, this one I am taking as a POC project. I'm not taking any complex scenario. So I design this API in such a way, all three layer YAML will be same only. Everything, structure and everything will be same. Only one additional header will be there in experience API, and one additional field is there in system API. So that additional field I made it optional, so we can use same pattern, no problem. But header part we need to add only in experience API. So first thing I will show you, if we have something like which has very similar structure and all, so how you can duplicate this and you can speed up your process. Okay, so I want to create a duplicate of this particular diamond. So here we have option duplicate. You need to give name. So I will give customer happy. So customer happy diamond, create duplicate. So we'll change this customer happy diamond. Title will change and other thing. Okay, one more thing. This name everywhere, root file name, I will put api.xml. So rename it. I will do same for this name, like I used to put like this. Okay. This same I will do for system layer also. Fine. So here rename this as a api.ram. Okay. So in process layer, we don't need to do any other change. Now I will create one more duplicate. And this will be customer XP API grammar. Okay. So here API.grammar. This is for XP API. This is for process API. This is for system API. So here, as I mentioned in experience API, we need one additional header. So we'll add that one. Common library authorization header. Okay. So you will able to see that header here, authorization header, since we need for auth token. When we will apply auth policy, we need this. Okay. So now we have all this RAML ready. So we'll publish in we'll publish all three RAML on Exchange. Okay, so we have published all this on Exchange. So if you want, you can go to Exchange and you can see. So Ramal wise, I will share this Ramal also. Let me do now only. Let me share on Git. So you can see here common fragment, experience API, process API, and system API. All the Ramals are ready. So first thing what I will do, let me download it. This is experience API. I will share all this Ramal and fragment, which will help you to do practice from your side. Okay, so I kept everything here. Let me commit so far what we did. Access wise, I haven't given. So let me do it tomorrow morning. Everyone will get access. You will able to see or download everything, document and everything from there. Okay. So RAML part, we are good. So in API development life cycle, so we have this design page where we create the RAML. Simulate page, we publish our RAML on Exchange. Then these two page come, like business will go to RAML and they will validate the RAML and they will give you feedback. Okay. So once you will get positive feedback, you will go for development. If you will get negative feedback, like something is not as per expectation, then again you will go on this page. Okay. So on our side, we don't have business. So we only, like, let's assume we only validated. So how you can validate, you can go to RAML and then like you can click on this post. You can see everything what is here and that is as per your expectation or not. Let's try now option. Right. And then you can put all the value here and then you can click on send and you can check the response. Okay, in this way, like you can validate and you can validate on Exchange also. On Exchange also, you will able to see all the header query parameter, like whatever you have defined in RAML, everything you will able to see from there. Also, you can validate. So once you will validate, everything is good. Like generally that should be done by stakeholder, business or someone. If everything is good, then you will go for development phase. Okay. So we'll start this development phase now. So before starting development phase, first what we will do, we will create a repository for our application. Okay. And then we will do development. Where we will create repository, we have Git access, Git account. So here, go to repository. And first I want to start working with the system API. So repository names, generally I use like I prefer to give as a application name. So customer okay, and then add readme file. This will be private repository. At this moment, this is branch name is main, but we will do some modification. I will show you. Create repository. This repository got created. So as I mentioned, branch name is coming as a main. I don't want main. I want master. So go to settings. Okay. And then here branches. Default branch is main. I want to rename it. I want to make it master. Okay. And then I want to have more branch. So master branch will contain production related code. And I will create develop branch, which will contain non-production code. And whenever someone will start development, so first they will create feature branch. Okay, so developer is responsible to create feature branch first, and then they will do the development. Okay, so now when I want to start the development, first thing I need to clone this in my local. Okay, so to clone, you can go to this software, add clone repository. So it's not coming here at this moment. So you can just refresh it.
I believe the repository is different.
Okay. Uh, yes, you are correct. So what I can do, I will give permission here also. I added this account also. I need to accept this one. Mulesoft Workshop 1. Correct one only. Okay, should be correct only. Mulesoft Workshop 1. Let's switch the 1 minute. Okay. So now we are using this one, Mulesoft Workshop Developer Guide 1. Okay. This is our main one. So in that case, we need to create here. Okay. Not mandatory to change this, but I'm more comfortable with this naming convention. Master develop doing that. So I'm develop branch. Master will contain production related code. Develop will contain non-production related code. First thing, we will clone it. Select this one and select the location where you want to clone it. So location inside the project, Mulesoft Workshop. Yes, clone it. So what I did on center repository, we created this repository and we cloned it in our local. Okay. At this moment, branch is selected as a master branch, but whenever we do development, we do on feature branch. Okay, so what we will do on top of this develop branch, we will create one feature branch. So click on new branch on top of develop branch. Feature branch, we can give name as a feature. And let's say we created Jira story, if you remember. Okay, let's assume any ticket number. So let's say, okay, this is the story number for which I'm going to do development. Okay, and whatever proper name, you can put any related feature branch name. Create branch. So if you see here, this local repository we created just now. We created some central repository and we cloned it in our local system. So now this is our local repository. So when we will create new project, we will sync with this local repository. How we can do that? Okay, so we'll create new project. Name will give same customer SAPI app V1. Okay, and we have three options to take RAML. We can take from the local, we can take from the, this is for local, we can take RAML from the exchange, and we can take from design center. So we are going to take from design center. So it's login is done. So we will take this customer SAPI RAML. And here you can see we have one option, scaffold flow. Okay, if you will select this option, automatically initial flow will be created. Okay. And then here you can see use default location. If you will select this location, if you will select this checkbox, then your project will be created within Anypoint Studio workspace, but I don't want there. I want within my clone repository. So you have to select that clone repository. This is my clone repository, so I will select this one. So now project will be directly created in that clone repository instead of creating one workspace. So what advantage we will get directly creating within the clone repository, local clone repository. Whatever change will happen in your project, automatically that change you will able to see here. And your commit and push things will be very easy. Your code commit and all will be very easy. Okay. So click on finish. So it's creating new application. So this project got created. what all file got created and updated, everything you will able to see here. And simply you can commit it from here. Okay, and push it. So what I did so far, like just I created one project. Okay. So before that I created repository, I cloned it in local, and then I created project using the YAML file from the design center, and I created within the clone repository. And whatever initial draft project we have, we okay, just give me 1 minute. I'm getting one urgent call. So let me know if anyone has any doubt till this point. If anyone has any doubt, let me know.
Is it mandate to create repository, clone repository?
Sorry.
Is it mandate? Why do we create a clone repository and why do we create a feature branch?
Okay. So these are the standards, like whenever you will work. Okay. So develop branch will be there. And at the same time, there might be possibility 2 or 3 developer working on same code base. If everyone will start doing change on the develop branch, then there will be some kind of code conflict and many problem will start coming. Okay. To remove those kind of problem, better to create feature branch, do your change there, and then commit your change there. And if required, then if any code conflict, resolve that. But this is the process of doing all this. So your task will be smoothing. So for today, we will end here only. But for doubt session, I am available for next 2-3 minutes. Let me take doubts from